Welcome to the Daily Fantasy Basketball Podcast. I am Kyle McEwen. You can find me on Twitter at RotoKyleNBA. And over here is...
Hey, this is Mark Roberts. You can find me on Twitter at Mark F. Roberts.
Please visit our site, dailyfantasybasketballpodcast.com. You can donate to us through PayPal on there if you'd like to, if you enjoy the podcast and whatnot. Otherwise, please go out, rate and review us on iTunes. Continue to see, we're up to 60 reviews now. It's awesome. We just passed our former podcast in the rankings, and that's just kind of cool to see. I don't want to brag or anything or like be negative about it, but it's just cool to kind of like feel like you're growing and whatnot. Right, Mark?
Absolutely, man. It's exciting.
Hooray for new challenges. All right. Let's get into it. This is Thursday.
Bill Simmons, you're next.
You're going down, BS. All right. This is a 3-game slate on Thursday evening. We saw the Pacers play Memphis and lose there. We saw the New York Knicks and Atlanta Hawks. I genuinely had a brain fart there. And then the Dallas versus Los Angeles Clippers game, which hasn't even started yet. The Atlanta Hawks ended up beating the New York Knicks. There's actually 3 minutes left. But it's like a 13-point game. Unlikely to be fruitful for the Knicks. Mark, is there anything that stood out from that first game from the night, the Memphis versus Indiana Pacers game?
Yeah, I'm just pulling that up right now, actually. Looking at the Indiana side, still Paul George is struggling with his shooting percentage, but otherwise looks just fine out there. And like physically, as you're watching him, he looks... You would never have guessed he has a broken leg. So I think, again, all concerns there are probably just fine. Miles Turner played. He made his debut, which was kind of exciting. He didn't get the sort of playing time that you would expect, but he did put a pretty good – so he only played 18 minutes, but he put up the sort of production that makes you intrigued. He had 8 points, 4 rebounds, 4 of 6 shooting, 2 steals, and a block, again, in 18 minutes.
Yeah, and he was 0 of 2 from the free throw line, but he's supposed to be a really good free throw shooter. And Turner hit some very hard shots, some step back, deep 2-point shots, some face-up shots along the baseline. He can do that, though. So if you were watching the game, all of that's legitimate. It's not hullabaloo. He's a very capable scorer, so it's going to be interesting if Turner continues to get healthy. He didn't play in the first game for the Pacers because of a sprained ankle, and he's had 3 minor injuries since the draft that has started to put a little bit of a fear that he might be somewhat injury-prone into the kind of narrative out there right now. But yeah, Mark.
That's what I wanted to ask you about. Do you think he played 18 minutes because that's his regular role that Frank Vogel sees, or do you think he played 18 minutes because he was coming back from an injury?
Well, we know that the Pacers, they changed some stuff tonight. They put Jordan Hill into the starting lineup, playing next to Jan Mahinmi to match up with the bigger lineup for the Grizzlies. Exactly what was happening. It's just because Marc Gasol and Zach Randolph are starting on the opposite side. But this mostly feels like a concession to Paul George to say, hey, look, when we're playing against the bigger teams, we'll play a bigger front court. You can go back to small forward. But if you were watching the preseason games, I mean, CJ Miles has been doing a lot of the guarding on power forwards when he's been in the lineup with Paul George. So I really don't know why there still seems to be an issue. I wish the Pacers would just ardently commit to playing the smaller lineup, because if they're going to start changing things on a nightly basis, it's going to funk with stuff for the year-long leagues. It might make things a little bit more interesting for daily games.
Yeah, and I don't know if they're going to do it often. Like, not very often you're going to play Marc Gasol and Zach Randolph type big guys.
No, that's a great point. Miles Turner, though, he's going to be their best center. He's going to be their best front court player by the end of the year. And I don't think that's even a stretch to say. If there was anybody who was at all good in the front court of this Indiana Pacers team, somebody who was a winning player, I wouldn't make such a statement about a rookie, but if you've watched this kid play, you see what his talent level's at. He will be a factor in that front court. He'll be playing big minutes, more minutes than Jan Mahinmi, more minutes than Jordan Hill by the end of the season. It's just a matter of time of him getting healthy and getting the trust of his coach.
So if I drafted him, say, in a 12-team league because, I don't know, just for a lottery ticket, do you think I should hold on to him, or do you think probably just drop him and wait and see when he starts getting bigger minutes?
It's tough because if you looked in the preseason, every single game, Miles Turner was playing just about 15 minutes a game, and he had at least 2 blocks in every single game. So it makes you feel like even if he's getting limited minutes off the bench, he might be able to contribute for you enough blocks production, good enough percentages, and good enough contributions other places where you might be able to use him or just kind of stash him until he starts to get bigger minutes. But it really just depends on who's available in your league. If there's somebody who I really like available in the league, like Kristaps Porzingis was still available, I'd go out and add him over Miles Turner, of course.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
that's fair.
But it's hard. I in most leagues, no, I wouldn't be having Miles Turner on my active roster right now in a 12-teamer. But if you're playing in a rotisserie league, I think the percentages you could potentially get out of Miles Turner by the end of the season, he is somebody I would consider stashing on my bench in a rotisserie league because you're not actively moving guys into your lineup every single day like you are in a head-to-head daily league.
Maybe that's a good way to say it. If you can stash him, he definitely has some upside, but at this point, we're probably not trying to actually play him in our lineups, whatever that means for your league.
What are you doing with CJ Miles? Because he's had back-to-back 18-point games, but tonight he came off the bench and only played 21 minutes.
Kyle, we've seen this before from CJ Miles. Like he's a streaky shooter. So sometimes he's really, proficient in limited minutes, and sometimes he really struggles. But there's not a lot else there. Like, yeah, he shot 6 for 8, so he shot 75%. Take that away, and what else do you have? You got 1 rebound, 2 assists, and a steal. Yeah, I guess I don't. That's not something I'd want to target. Somebody playing 21 minutes is not somebody I would want to target. He's not going to shoot above 50%. Forget about 75%. He's not going to shoot above 50% for most of the season. So, in a very deep league, like a 16-team league, if you need 3-pointers, he's a guy you can add and get those. But in a standard league, I don't think you're touching him.
Yeah, 10 and 12-team leagues, even though CJ Miles has had back-to-back good scoring games, look at the inconsistent minutes just within 2 games. You're not going to be able to count on this guy throughout the season. So don't go adding CJ Miles and giving up on a guy like if somebody else is good on your roster, but you're just not sure that they're going to stick it out, like a Kentavious Caldwell-Pope or something, don't go adding CJ Miles over those guys. And if there's somebody struggling on your team who is in a good situation, a good place to have a good opportunity this year, don't go dropping them for CJ Miles. He like Mark said, it's deeper league value there for him. On the Memphis side of things, just one really kind of quick note. Jeff Green was moved to a bench role in favor of having Tony Allen in the starting lineup. But regardless of that situational thing of bench or starter, their minutes are just going to be – it's not going to be consistent if they're the starter or if they're the bench. Jeff Green played 29 minutes off the bench even though he got moved to the bench. Yeah, that was a lot of saying the bench. I apologize.
He had kind of a nice game, too, for Jeff Green, I guess. I mean, he shot 5 of 6. He had 12 points, 3 rebounds, 3 assists, a steal, and a block with 2 3-pointers.
But he's generally too inconsistent to own for me, though. I know he's too frustrating for me to own.
He's frustrating, and it doesn't feel like there's a really much of a ceiling on there, Like, I feel like Jeff Green's realistic best-case scenario is like the 105th best player if everything breaks right for him, right? There's no real possibility he ends up in the top 50 or top 75. And his consistent production is not high enough that you'd want to, like, I can't come up with a reason why you would want to own him. Right. Either based on his current production or even like a best case scenario.
Agreed. All right, let's step over to that Hawks and Knicks game since that's all wrapped up now. The Hawks ended up winning 112-101. From this Atlanta Hawks side of things, Paul Millsap played 35 minutes for the second straight game. He played 36 minutes in the Hawks' first game. Does that make you think that maybe the lack of kind of depth at small forward might be the reason that he's getting this? Or is this just maybe it's 2 games, we saw it happen once, and then in this game, Thabo Sefolosha was sitting out, Mike Muscala was sitting out. Those are 2 guys who could get minutes at the positions that Paul Millsap plays. It's just not enough of a track record here for us to kind of assign any kind of meaning to it.
Well, so yeah, and Sefolosha apparently is going to sit out on back-to-backs. So something to be aware of, not necessarily for Cephalosha's sake, but for the rest of the Hawks rotation, something to be aware of. Honestly, in this game, I don't know what their plan is on the season, but in this game, if you think about how the Knicks line up, they've got Lopez and Porzingis as their starting big guys, and then they've got Carmelo Anthony. So I think Budenholzer took the advantage of saying, I can play Paul Millsap against Carmelo Anthony, and then I can get my best guys out there. He was able to play split or more minutes than usual. Or at least he did in the first game. So I kind of think it was just a matchup thing tonight. Not to say that he won't employ that in the future, but I don't think he can employ that. The team we just talked about, the Pacers, if they've got Paul George at the 4 and CJ Miles at the 3, I don't think you're seeing any Paul Millsap at the small forward position. So I think it will be game by game.
Right. Dennis Schroeder played just 18 minutes today off the bench after playing 25 minutes in the first game this season. Does that change your perspective on him at all? Or is this kind of just, that's the ride we know we're on if we have him?
I would say both. So, with one game, you don't know if what they played him is a minimum or a maximum or an average. And it's kind of feels like after tonight, even though Cephalosha was out, they only played him 18 minutes. It's starting to feel like that 25 he got last game was maybe a maximum that he would get. And in that case, it sort of just feels like Schroeder's not going to get, if his average is in the 20 to 22 minute range, and sometimes he bumps up to 25, that's much different than saying his average is going to be in the 25 minute range and he might bump up to 28 on a certain night. So I kind of think, I don't think he's ownable, or he's a guy that I'm trying to pick up if I have to play him. If I can stash him, once again, great. But if I have to play him, I think he's probably not going to get enough minutes to justify putting him in your lineup.
So maybe a roto stash, but not a head-to-head 10-team, or maybe not even.
Or like if you have a weekly league, a weekly lineup league, or you have a games limit or some reason that you can not have to play him all the time, I'm fine. Because I do think there's a lot of upside. This is the opposite case that we talked about with Jeff Green. If he gets minutes and, he's showing that he deserves big minutes, he could be a top 50 player. It doesn't seem like that role is present for him at this point.
During the times that I was clued into this game or keyed into the game, Lamar Patterson off the bench looked really good in limited minutes. Now, he collected 4 fouls in just 21 minutes, but he's out there playing aggressive defense, had 9 points, 2 rebounds, 2 3-pointers, just looked like he belonged out there. And this is a kid who's a rookie, so it was a lot of fun to watch. Or I'm sorry, he's a second-year guy.
And considering who's ahead of him on the depth chart, if you look at small forward or shooting guard, however you want to look at Korver, there's a chance that he could move into the starting lineup at some point this season.
Lamar Patterson is a rookie. I faked myself out. He was a second-round pick last year, though.
Yeah, that's a tricky one. No, don't you think that he could get some? I don't know if he'd ever get big enough minutes that it would matter fantasy-wise for standard leagues, but I could see them starting him based off the way he played tonight and trying to mold him into the DeMarre Carroll role.
Yeah, I think it's just they only played Bazemore 25 minutes as the starting small forward, so it's hard to say what they're going to do. But I mean, again, this is Justin Holiday really took the Thabo Cephalosha minutes. Justin Holiday got 13 minutes because Lamar Patterson got 18 minutes in the first game as well when Thabo was healthy. Now the Hawks play again on Friday, so Cephalosha should be back for that game, which would potentially reduce Kent Bazemore minutes. Justin Holiday probably gets moved out of the rotation. And then, of course, Dennis Schroeder's minutes become a little bit more questionable too, although I think he'll be clued into about 18 to 25 every single game. Not much more else to take out of this here.
What's your take on Schroeder? Are you do you feel the same way? Like if there are going to be games he gets 18 minutes, he's probably not worth trying to keep in your lineup if you have to play him?
We did a couple of 14-team listener leagues. Those leagues felt deep enough. Those 14-team leagues feel deep enough for Schroeder. But in my 12-team leagues, there's usually somebody else that I would I would rather have who I think is going to get more minutes on a given night. Do I think he's better than Nick Stauskas and other guys? Like, yeah, that absolutely. I just don't think he's going to get as many minutes as those guys until he gets on another team or until Jeff Teague gets traded. So it's frustrating because if the rumor mill really started to heat up around Dennis Schroeder closer to the trade deadline, the way it did with Reggie Jackson last year, we would start talking about him as saying, like, make sure he's on your watch list or just go pick this guy up. Just go pick him up now, stash him for a month, and then you'll have him. And at least he's contributing something right now. He's not complete dead weight. So that's the way I look at him. What about on the New York side of things, though? We see a second game out of Kristaps Porzingis, 10 points, 8 rebounds, 3 steals, 1 block point range. But you like the good rebounds. You like the, hey, 3 steals. All right, cool. That helps out because you're not getting me the 3-pointers I was counting on. I love it.
Yeah, me too. I mean, he definitely, if we look at his European stats and translate them to the NBA, he definitely profiles as a guy who's going to get the defensive stats. Not necessarily elite in either case, but he should be pretty productive in steals and blocks. And there aren't a lot of guys, we always talk about the guys that get you a 3-pointer, a steal, and a block. And I think he could definitely do that this season. He did that in his first game. He didn't get the 3-pointer tonight, but I think that will come. He took 4, so you would think he'd be able to get 1 or 2 a night in if he's putting up 3-point shots that often. And the Knicks are giving him playing time. I think, that's the most important thing.
Jose Calderon got just 18 minutes. Should anybody be holding on to him, or are we looking at did the Knicks just get blown out, or are they really going to start giving more minutes to Langston Galloway and Jerian Grant than they are their starter in Jose Calderon? Because Jerian Grant's played 24 and 29 minutes, and we saw Langston Galloway play 25 and 25 minutes. And Galloway's hitting 3-pointers. He's getting you a little bit of rebounds, a little bit of assists, the occasional steal.
Has Calderon hit a shot yet? Because he didn't make a shot tonight. Did he make a shot in his first game?
That is such a depressing question.
He did. He's 1 for 10 so far. Yeah, that might be part of the problem. That might be why he's getting less minutes. We were talking about this a little before the show, Kyle. I just don't think he looks like he belongs on the. You were talking about Patterson, how he looks like he belongs. I don't know if Calderon looks like he belongs anymore, which is kind of disappointing to say about a veteran, but. The tires may have fallen off. I can't imagine what sort of a league you would have to play in to be holding on to him. Like, I play in a 400-player league. I guess you would want to own him in that league.
I was reluctant to believe the Jerian Grant hype coming into the year. Maybe because I had already fallen too in love with so many other rookies. Mm-hmm. But he put up 5 points, 7 rebounds, and 7 assists. I don't care about the scoring. The 7 rebounds and 7 assists in 29 minutes. That's interesting to me. Is Jerian Grant somebody that we should have on our watch list and that we should be keeping an eye on in case he does maybe step into a starting role in the backcourt for the Knicks, or just maybe a bigger bench role?
Yeah, I think so. Of all the rookies that I translated all the rookie stats, and I believe I have to go back and check this. He was either first or second in assists per 100 possessions, and we know that's kind of a tough. It's not the most difficult stat to pick up, but it's one of the most difficult ones to pick up. So if you look at all the clues here, he's great at assists. Calderon's struggling. The Knicks, if they aren't doing so well, you could see him making a change, and I think if he does get in the starting lineup, you could see him pretty easily average, 6 to 8 assists per game. I think maybe 8. 8 maybe sounds a little too high, but I could see him in a 7.5 range.
I don't think the Knicks are gonna overreact about one game. I mean, they came out,
yeah.
So I don't think we're gonna see like a quick change from Vucevic starting or anything. But it's important.
I'm talking in like 20 to 30 games, I guess. Mm-hmm. I'm glad you clarified that.
Yeah. Kyle O'Quinn, though, he's going to work off the bench for the Knicks. If he's a cheap option in your daily games leagues, maybe you can use him there. If you're playing in a deeper league, 14 team, I think Kyle O'Quinn's a great guy to have on your team there potentially. But there's going to be erratic production for him. He's going to go in and he's going to have a good night like he did tonight, where he put up a double-double of 10 points, 10 rebounds, 3 assists, 1 steal, 1 block. And then there's going to be other nights where he just comes in and he gets 6 fouls in 5 minutes. So we've seen that happen with him before too. And a lot of O'Quinn's rebounds tonight, 6 offensive ones, were because he was just getting stuffed underneath the hoop and missing layups and then getting his own rebound. I mean, I'm pretty sure there was 3 of those at least. So
padding his stats.
That's good. We love it for fantasy. Robin Lopez, if you're worried about his minutes, those should creep up. He had a nice game, 18 points, 4 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 block, 8 of 11 from the field in just 21 minutes. Played 20 minutes in the first game. Robin Lopez was dealing with some knee soreness during the preseason. It's probably just that they're keeping him limited right now to keep him healthy. They have also been getting such great play out of Kyle O'Quinn, though, that has helped them look the other way a little bit. Derek Williams followed up his great first game of the season of 24 points in 23 minutes with just 9 points in 18 minutes. Do not buy the hype. Derek Williams is not real.
Yep, agreed.
Cool. All right, that Dallas LAC game that has gotten off to a start here. So we know that Darren Williams is not playing. Wesley Matthews is not playing on the second game of a back-to-back. Dang, that's just – or wait a minute, the game actually has not started yet. My bad. Why hasn't it – are the box scores just messed up? It is after 10:30.
You would think it had started by now.
Yeah, okay. Looks like the box scores are just messed up on ESPN, so I can't talk about it at all. So that's very sad.
Do you want to go? I know we don't usually do this. Do you want to? There was 3 games we didn't talk about last night. Do you want to quickly go through those, just because?
Yeah, no problem.
We haven't really talked about those games at all, or those teams at all. I think it was the late 3 games. Yeah,
the final 3 games of the night. Some pretty interesting stuff happened. We were already talking about So which ones? We already went through Mavericks and Suns. It was Pelicans.
Mavericks and Suns. Oh, we talked about them at half. Just to wrap up, John Jenkins only played 4 minutes. I'm sorry, everyone. I didn't see the Raymond Felton thing coming.
I don't think anybody saw the Raymond Felton thing. Raymond Felton had played 33 minutes. He ended up putting 18 points, 4 rebounds, 6 assists. Darren Williams had left Wednesday night's game with a knee injury. So he's not even playing on Thursday. Wesley Matthews sitting out the second game of a back-to-back. We should have seen that. We should have talked about it. I feel like an idiot for not discussing the possibility of it more. John Jenkins and Justin Anderson, the 2 sleeper picks from the Dallas Mavericks. Nope, they went with the trusty veterans. So then again, Dwight Powell got 17 minutes off the bench. Jeremy Evans got 26 minutes, although I guess Jeremy Evans is more of a veteran than John Jenkins and Justin Anderson.
Yeah, Rick Carlisle, he is probably one of my favorite coaches, but I can't believe he played Jeremy Evans 26 minutes. That's such a surprise to me. And Raymond Felton 33 minutes. It
was a blowout. You know what? I think we forget to, we kind of get off course sometimes. It was a blowout.
Yeah.
So we can't look.
They let Dirk go to the bench early.
Yeah, he only played 21 minutes. But that's a concern. If Dirk's going to go to the bench early, that's going to and on the Phoenix side of things, that was just a complete mess. Probably the only positive thing to take out of it is, maybe 2 things. TJ Warren chucked up 14 shots in just 20 minutes. You like that because hopefully he's going to be aggressive this year, even if he's playing off the bench. And then Devin Booker, 21 minutes off the bench, 6 of 7 from the field, 1 of 2 from the 3, and then 3 rebounds, 1 steal, 14 total points. Nice work there from the rookie.
Yeah, absolutely. I had some questions about Markieff Morris. People were wondering why he only played 11 minutes. He had 5 fouls, which is a concern. But just to point out, he didn't get benched or anything like that. He just couldn't stay on the floor with foul trouble, which is a whole other concern. But
everybody was brutal, though. I mean, everybody. So not much to take from that first Phoenix game.
Except, if they're going to play 13 players a night, at least 14 minutes, this is going to be a interesting rotation.
Right, but they're not going to do that.
They're not going to do that. Sunday Williams got 15 minutes. That's something.
Blowout.
Yeah, I think you're right. All right.
All right, New Orleans versus the New Orleans Pelicans versus the Portland Trail Blazers. We touched on this a little bit because CJ McCollum was going off. He ended up finishing with 37 points, 6 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 steal, and 6 3-pointers in 37 minutes.
Unbelievable. That's amazing.
Booyakasha.
I saw somebody that was offered, who was it? Gordon Hayward today for CJ McCollum, and they were wondering if they should pull the trigger.
Yes. Get the Gordon Hayward guy. He's going to have better across-the-board production.
Yeah.
But CJ McCollum is ridiculously interesting, and who knows? Maybe he can score 20 points a game on this Portland Trail Blazers team, which if he's a 20-point scorer that you got in rounds,
9 or something?
Yeah, 8 or 9.
8 or 9.
Yeah, then well done. Well done, homies. Here's the concerning thing from this Portland Trailblazers game on Wednesday. Mason Plumlee playing just 19 minutes. Now, he had 4 fouls, and I'm not sure if that actually affected anything. I don't really think it did, though. I think there's going to be a timeshare there between Mason Plumlee and Ed Davis, and Ed Davis might actually trump him on minutes a lot of the time.
I do think the fouls were part of it, but that is also concerning. Like, it's not like he's a guy who fouls people a lot. So I think foul trouble is going to be a problem. Ed Davis also had 5 fouls. So it'll be interesting to see how they play that. I think Plumlee probably gets more minutes than 19 usual. Weirdly enough, he had 6 assists.
Here's the thing. That's actually not that weird. And I'm going to tell you why. He's a good passer. We didn't see it in Brooklyn.
We've never seen it before.
Oh, he was awesome last night. They were giving him to it in the high post. He was doing these like little pirouette ballerina dance moves and then just flipping it into the corner left and right to people, and they were just hitting these mid-range jump shots or 3-pointers. Here's the thing. The only reason I'm saying it may not be a one-game thing, or we may get, I'm not saying 6 assists tonight or anything, but could he creep closer between 2.5 to 3 assists if all falls into place? There was a lot of talk about the fact that people didn't realize how good of a passer he is, and he got to show off last night, and it looked like a lot of fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
Al-Farouq Aminu played 31 minutes, only took 7 shots. That's kind of his thing, though.
Yeah, That's who he is. But you got a steal and 2 blocks and 8 rebounds. That's what he's going to do for you.
Yep. What Aminu doesn't do for you in assists or in total points, he's going to give you occasional 3-pointers. He's going to give you good rebound numbers for a small forward. He's going to give you occasional steals, or he's going to give you good steals, and he's going to give you good blocks.
Yep.
Myers Leonard played 34 minutes as the starting power forward, 5 of 12 from the field, 2 of 7 from 3-point. I really think he's going to hit 2 3-pointers a game. 8 rebounds, 3 assists, 1 steal, 1 block. That's his line every single night.
That's awesome. Well, and I think he's going to shoot. He's going to shoot better than that percentage from the 3-point line. If he's putting up 7 a night, he might get 3.
He's probably not going to get 3 assists a game, but
no, that's probably true.
But he could take more shots, and if he's playing 34 minutes a game, he's going to pull down 8 rebounds. He's that good.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody else?
Timberwolves and Lakers?
Nobody else worth talking about on that Portland side of the stuff. Ryan Anderson had a hell of a game. If Ryan Anderson is available in your 12-team leagues, even in your 10-team leagues, he didn't have a great first game. He looked like Ryan Anderson, the good Ryan Anderson, in this game. He helped them come back from a 30-point deficit to make this a game at the end of it. And I really think that you're just going to see Alvin Gentry realize that playing a big man with Anthony Davis other than Ryan Anderson is just hogwash ridiculousness. And I'm looking forward to it. Also on the Pelican side of things, Nate Robinson was waived. So that means any day that Drew Holiday does not play, we are all using Ish Smith in our daily games lineups. Okay, everybody? We agree on that?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think he's probably worth picking up in 12-team leagues if you need a point guard.
Because he puts up so many bulk assists?
He does. Yeah, he does great in assists. And, Drew Holiday is going to be limited to 20 minutes a game. So I think there's still enough playing time for him, even when Drew Holiday is playing.
Is Ish Smith, what are his percentages like? Because what about using Ish Smith in a rotisserie league where you can, pick and choose which days you're going to use his games?
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't think his percentages are great. And I don't think he's going to put up a lot of 3-pointers or points. I think you're more getting the assists, maybe fairly good production and rebounds, and then he's going to get you some steals as well. Yeah, he's a career 39% shooter. 26% from the 3-point line and 57% from the free throw line. Those are not great.
Yeah, it kind of makes me a little bit afraid. It's kind of weighing the Devils and whatnot. It's like, do you want his great assist numbers, even though you're going to have to take his bad field goal shooting?
Yeah, all percentages are not created equally. He's not going to put up enough shots, I don't think, to kill you as much as I don't know. Say, who am I trying to think of? I don't know. Somebody who has a really Kobe Bryant, for example.
That's hilarious.
Well, and we saw it last night. He shot 8 of 24. That's much different than Ish Smith shooting 2 of 6.
Yep.
Oh, he shot 3 of 14 last night. That will hurt you.
It's situational whether or not you can add Ish Smith, because Drew Holiday already broke through the 20-minute minutes limit that he was supposed to have. He played 21 minutes on Wednesday. We haven't talked about Dante Cunningham at all. What's your opinion on him? He's been starting at small forward for the Pelicans, and he's getting pretty good run here in the first 2 games. So, yeah, 27 and 31.
And he scored 0 points last night. So, he's a defensive guy. He's a good player. I think he helps teams win, but I don't think he's going to do anything fantasy-wise that gets you very excited.
Quincy Pondexter is out right now. You've got Tyreek Evans out. You got Norris Cole out. There's a lot of guys out. Luke Babbitt is out, who could be getting minutes there that would take away from Cunningham's potential value. So if you're looking at his minutes and saying, well, at least he's getting big minutes, he's not a great per minute producer, and he's probably going to have his role taken away from him at some point. There's a high potential for that.
Yeah. Exactly.
All right, moving on to that Timberwolves versus Lakers game from last night to kind of wrap this all up. The Timberwolves were down by a lot, and Ricky Rubio, why does it feel like they're down by a lot more than what it looks like in the quarter-by-quarter go? Anyways, Ricky Rubio was a boss. 28 points, 14 assists, 2 3-pointers, 1 steal. Holla if you hear me.
That 3-point shot looked pretty good to me. If that switches, man, he's going to be awesome.
In his 6 of 7 from the free throw line, always been good there. 10 of 17 from the field. His jump shot looked a lot better in the preseason. Granted, 2 games, not a lot to go on. Who knows? We don't want to get too excited, but if you took Rubio and you were worried about his ankle or what his role was going to be on the team, he played 32 minutes and he looks great. Andrew Wiggins is questionable for Friday's game with back spasms. He played just 29 minutes in Wednesday's game, was 2 of 10 from the field, 5 of 6 from the free throw line, 9 points, 1 rebound. Jack squad else.
Better days ahead. Karl-Anthony Towns' debut was solid. He played 32 minutes. He scored 14 points, 12 rebounds, and an assist. He took a 3-pointer, which is sort of interesting. Made both of his free throws, which is great. Had a good percentage. He didn't get any blocks, which is sort of disappointing. That's one reason you want him, but all in all, a pretty good debut.
You may not see, well, I guess Roy Hibbert, this Lakers team, they're a bunch of jump shooters for the most part.
No, that's a good point.
Even Roy Hibbert, he takes a lot of little jump shots, and Julius Randle, he attacks the rack. Minnesota ended up turning to their bench in this game. Gorgie Jang just played 20 minutes. Zach LaVine played 20 minutes. Kevin Martin was a force off the bench, 29 minutes, put up 23 points, 1 rebound. Didn't hit any 3-pointers, went to the line 12 times, though. He's great at that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Kevin Martin, are you adding him anywhere?
No, I don't think so. Well, yeah, I'll back off that. Like if he's going to play 29 minutes a game, he's useful. Again, not a super high ceiling, so maybe I feel better about it in a 12-team league than I do in a 10-team league. But particularly if you're trying to improve your field goal percentage a little bit, he's always going to be good there. He's usually going to get you some 3-pointers. He'll help you at points, to the degree that he gets the minutes. He's not going to give you a lot else, though. So sort of a situational play. Like if you need his specific things, I'm okay picking him up. And if you don't need those specific things, I don't feel bad leaving him on the waiver wire either. Like I don't think he's so good that you have to pick him up regardless.
Yeah, you're picking up Kevin Martin for points, 3-pointers, and a good free throw percentage. So that's maybe roto specific in some regard. You could pick him up and use him in head.
What about Jang?
I was going to swing back to him because you were starting to bring him up. What do you want to tell people about Gorgui Dieng?
Well, he only played 20 minutes. I mean, people are asking, can we drop him? And I guess, he's not a guy that we believed a lot in. And so we probably would have said, don't draft him. I would say if you did draft him, I might give him one more game just to see for sure that this is a rotation. But it certainly looks like he's not going to have the fantasy value that you would have expected.
Yeah, I mean,
drafted him.
Yeah,
again, we would have said spend. Belicha played more. I mean, he almost look at the order of things. Like Karl Anthony Towns got his minutes. Kevin Durant got the minutes he's going to get. Those two are solid in there. And Kevin Durant's Garnett's not going to get a ton of minutes. But Belicha was the second guy to Towns, and then Dieng is the third guy. So
and
Belicha not going to be enough there.
Belicha had 5 personal fouls too, so I don't know how he got those. It's possible he even was taken out of the game at some point and Dieng was subbed in for him. Yeah. Essentially, it's just it doesn't look like Jang's going to get enough minutes unless he gets moved to another team or unless there's players getting rested. Maybe if Kevin Garnett gets rested on a given night. Now, here's the thing: if you've been away from fantasy basketball for like 10 years and you just came back and you see Tayshaun Prince and Kevin Garnett starting on this Minnesota Timberwolves team, those 15 minutes and 13 minutes that they played respectively, that is real. That's what they're going to play most nights when they play, even if they are the starters. So I'm sorry, but you can drop them if you drafted them somewhere. Any sized league. 1-man league. Drop them.
I actually own Kevin Garnett in the league that we own, where 400 players are owned, and he's a nice guy to have.
No, he's great in the minutes he plays. All right, let's talk about this Los Angeles Lakers team. Julius Randle really stood out to me. He played 30 minutes, had 15 points, 11 rebounds, 2 assists, no steals, no blocks, 5 of 13 from the field, 5 of 6 from the free throw line. Julius Randle is going to be a good daily games play if he's cheap enough, potentially, because he's going to put up points, he's going to put up some rebounds, and he's going to get you a couple assists. But you're never going to get steals, blocks, or 3-pointers from this guy.
Yep, and he's never going to shoot a good enough percentage that he gives you that third category, even in roto. This is what we've talked about ever since he came in the league. He's not elite at points. He's going to be okay at points. He'll probably be very good at rebounds, and he's just not going to give you the steals or blocks or percentages to give you enough in anywhere else that, think about Zach Randolph. It's the same sort of a thing. He's never that, ranked very high, even though he's elite at rebounds, because he just doesn't do that much else. And Randall's going to be the same.
Julius Randle is the Evan Turner of front court players for fantasy. Kobe Bryant played 29 minutes, chucked up 24 shots. Kobe Bryant could end up doing a lot of work for people who are in head-to-head leagues with extended rosters, so that if he does miss time, you can kind of weather the storm.
Mm-hmm.
But,
as long as you're cutting field goal percentage and turnovers.
Correct, Amundo. You are going to get such a terrible field goal percentage out of Bryant. The Lakers said that Jordan Clarkson was their lead point guard in their first game on Wednesday, with D'Angelo Russell playing shooting guard. But they're going to do something different on Friday. They're actually going to let D'Angelo Russell play point guard, and Jordan Clarkson's going to play shooting guard, as he should. So
Oh man,
we'll see what that means. D'Angelo Russell had a horrible
Kyle, if
first
your son
game.
was drafted into the NBA and like was a high lottery pick, how would you feel if Coach Scott had his career in his hands? That would make me sick.
It's hard to really like worry about little things like basketball when you're a millionaire. So, and I mean, I'm just assuming my child would just give me all of his money.
Sure. Guess who led the team in assists? Roy Hibbert. That's not great.
I don't even have the flu, and I just threw up out of my butt. That's horrible. Well, at least Marcelo Huertas, at least he didn't start over D'Angelo Russell. Lou Williams played 27 minutes off the bench, 21 points, 3 rebounds, 1 assist. This is a problem. Like, Lou Williams will probably be Lou Williams this year. He always is. He's going to average like 14.5 points. He's going to get you the occasional steal. He's going to get you a 3-pointer and a half. But his biggest fantasy impact is really in that he takes away minutes from players that should be playing instead of him, like D'Angelo Russell and Jordan Clarkson.
Minutes. The reason that D'Angelo Russell only shot 7 times is because Kobe Bryant and Lou Williams shot 38 times. So there's not a lot of like development opportunities there.
But look, when you have somebody who you need to like, hold their hand while you're walking across the street, like Byron Scott, you almost have to put the blame on Mitch Kupchak in this situation. Yeah. Why did you add Lou Williams to this roster? It's bad enough you're keeping Nick Young or hanging around there.
Yeah. And Kobe Bryant for that matter. But I get that one, of course. He totally different situation than Lou Williams. It doesn't make sense to me why they brought in Lou Williams. With that said, like in a 12-team or 14-team league, I think there'll be stretches where Lou Williams is worth playing.
Here's the thing with Lou Williams. He's a great end-of-the-bench guy or one of your bench players. He's great in head-to-head for especially 12-team leagues. I wouldn't have him on there in 10-team leagues.
Yeah,
but I like to have potential on my bench. I like somebody who could break out. I would rather be using a Dennis Schroeder than a Lou Williams.
Yeah. He's probably like the only guy that you could stream for points. Do you know what I mean? Like there's sometimes you pick up Mason Plumlee because you're trying to win blocks or something. There's not a lot of guys you could stream for points. He might be the best candidate to say, hey, I've got to have 30 points today. I've got to pick up somebody. Lou Williams is the only sort of guy that would be on the waiver wire that could actually get you there.
Yeah. Oh man, it's just a frustration. This Lakers squad. I'm just sorry, man. There's some interesting cats on there, but is Roy Hibbert really going to be the most consistent fantasy option? Because we know that's not a reality.
Yeah.
I mean, Roy Hibbert was 1 of 4 in 28 minutes from the field, but he was 10 of 10 from the free throw line, 10 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 blocks. Like you're going to really do all your scoring at the free throw line, Roy Hibbert? It's just bizarreness.
Karl-Anthony Towns, man, he was scared to shoot around him.
Oh, it's a great point. No, it looks like Bjelica probably used 5 of those fouls all on Roy Hibbert for some reason. He may not have had the game plan or the scouting report that said let the guy shoot. So, all right, hey Mark, you are sick. Did you want to leave us or do you want to sit for?
That's okay. I'll cut out.
Okay, Mark's gonna go. He's been pooping out of his mouth and throwing up out of his butt all day. So, sorry, I had to do that.
No problem. Good to talk to you, Kyle. I'll talk to you later.
All right, love you, buddy. Bye.
Yeah,
Feel better.
Bye.
All right, we're gonna run through the any news that may be lingering. It seems Andrew Bogut is going to miss at least 2 games with his concussion that he suffered in the Golden State Warriors opening night game. We already talked about Andrew Wiggins sitting out, or I'm sorry, he's probable but questionable for Friday's game for the Timberwolves with back spasms. With Jody Meeks sitting out for the next 6 to 8 weeks due to a Jones fracture in one of his feet, we should see Reggie Bullock get a little bit more run off the bench for the Detroit Pistons. On the Sacramento Kings side of things, or that's not really the side of things, but for the Sacramento Kings, Willie Cauley-Stein is going to start Friday against the Lakers. We saw Willie Cauley-Stein come off the bench in the Kings' first game on Wednesday. Costa Koufis was the starter there. Cauley-Stein only got, I believe, 8 minutes in that game. So it'll be interesting to see him get a little bit more run matching up against Julius Randle. We'll see how that goes. I'm not too optimistic about Willie Cauley-Stein, and for daily leagues, I will not be throwing him in there. The Lakers, I guess everybody practiced today. That's good to know. Jeremy Lamb practiced with the Hornets on Thursday, and assuming he's going to be fine at shoot-around on Friday, he should be available for the Hawks game there. So that would be nice if we can maybe see Jeremy Lamb get some run in there, because PJ Hairston had a horrible game starting in the Hornets' last game. And really, there's an opportunity there for Jeremy Lamb to come out and take some minutes on this team. So it'd be nice to see him capitalize and do that. Austin Rivers threw a seat cushion into the stands on Thursday, and he's probably, or on Wednesday, and he's probably going to be disciplined for that. So keep an eye out. Austin Rivers might miss a game or just receive a fine. Jarrett Jack is probable for Friday's game against the Spurs, so we should see him start over Shane Larkin. John Henson has a sore left Achilles. Did not practice on Thursday. He'll be evaluated after Friday's shoot-around to see if he's going to be available for their next game. OJ Mayo did not practice Thursday. He will miss Friday's game. That'll be the second straight game that OJ Mayo has missed with his hamstring injury. Nick Stauskas is probable for Friday's game against the Jazz. He missed the Sixers' first game of the season with back spasms, even though he had originally been questionable for the game with his return or rehab of a stress reaction injury in his knee, or not his knee, but in his leg. Sorry, I'm stumbling so much right now. Anyways, Stauskas probable for tomorrow. We'll see. He's a game time decision until he actually is on the darn court. Thabo Sefolosha, we already talked about the fact he's going to sit out one game of a back-to-back set. Mike Muscala is supposed to miss at least the next 3 to 6 days while they try to evaluate his sprained ankle that he suffered in Tuesday's game against the Pistons. RJ Hunter had to get some IVs, but he was back practicing after last night's game. He's dealing with an illness right now. RJ Hunter's not really a part of the Boston Celtics rotation right now, but he played well in the preseason, so he's kind of an interesting guy to keep an eye on. Howell Neto did not practice on Thursday due to a knee contusion. He's questionable for Friday's game against the Sixers. And then, of course, we already talked about Jarrett Jack. Joe Johnson sat out practice Thursday, but that was just a rest day for him. All right, that's about it, y'all. That is about all the news we have. Jared Dudley was a coach's decision DNP for the Wizards' first game, but we're still going to wait and see. There will come a time where he does get into the rotation and potentially is somebody who maybe takes away minutes from Chris Humphries, or possibly could take away a little bit of minutes from Jared Dudley or Marcin Gortat in a roundabout way. Thanks so much for listening to the podcast today. I'm Kyle McEwen. You can find me on Twitter at RotoKyleNBA. You can find Mark on Twitter at Mark F. Roberts. And if you can always please rate and review the podcast on iTunes, it does help us out so much. Thank you very much, guys. Have a great day. And we'll talk to you tomorrow. Or no, actually, shoot, this is the end of the week, isn't it? Happy Friday, everybody. Have a good weekend. If you haven't listened to it yet, we've been uploading our DFS podcast in the mornings or early afternoons every day. So if you subscribe to us on iTunes or whatever, it should refresh there for you before it actually shows up on the iTunes page. I know some people go to the actual iTunes page to listen to podcasts, but if you subscribe, you should get a notification, or it should just automatically download for you a little bit quicker. Otherwise, if you want our podcast as quick as possible, you can follow us on Twitter. I mean, not on Twitter, on YouTube. Subscribe to us there, and that's where you'll be able to find us. Thanks so much, guys. Have a great weekend, and we'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.